Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى والله خلقكم وما تعملون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He created you and what you are doing. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إنما الأعمال بالنيات أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. And this is part of, you mentioned before, it's part of a longer hadith, but this is the beginning of it. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and Bukhari Sharif actually begins with this hadith. It is the first one. Actions are based upon their intentions, based on their motivations. The remainder of the hadith goes on to now clarify this and provide the necessary examples so that way there is no confusion about what is actually meant. Now, as far as the hadith itself, it is a hadith that is often narrated because it is critically important that we understand that our intention is of, like there's nothing more important. Our success and our failure is going to be based upon the niyyah itself. So, mashallah, as we're doing right now, mashallah, ulama, shuyukh, khatibs, etc., a'imma, they're always talking about niyyah. Even the Tablighi brothers, when they come, right? They're always talking about niyyah. Everybody's talking about niyyah. But there's an issue. There's an issue here because it seems as if we are focused more on the external than the internal. So we have to go back and actually look at this hadith and understand it more accurately. But move it back a little bit. Get a bigger picture. Understand it like this. The external is based on the internal. Innamal a'malu, the external, is based on what? An-niyyah, the internal. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, think about this. What is shirk? Shirk is what happens when we actually put our yaqeen, our trust, our conviction, our belief in something which is external. Something which is external. Now that external thing could be a completely fabricated thing. It could be social perception. It could, whatever the case may be, but it is generated externally. What is the most important aspect of actually what is taking place in our lives? It is the internal interaction that we are supposed to be engaging in with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So niyyah is something which is something that is constant. It's not something like, oh, I paused real quick and I made a niyyah and then I went on about my day. Niyyah is something that is a consistent thing that moves with us throughout our lives. So what is shirk? Shirk is when now I am focusing on, instead of this internal relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is some external factor that has now crept in to my tawheed. And now I am giving that attention to someone other or something or some place or some idea other than what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has established for me. Because the only reason why this whole thing is happening is because Allah ta'ala wants to have this relationship with us. The question is, do you want to have this relationship with Him? But this relationship is primarily internal. It is primarily internal. So what is taqwa? With this understanding, we understand taqwa as what? Remaining in this state where I am focusing on the internal and my relationship and my engagement with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ghafla is when I fall out of that state and now I'm caught up in some external factor. Now do you understand how like even something as precious and valuable as salah itself can become a distraction between the abd and the ma'abud? The slave and the one who is actually supposed to be served. So if I think that the whole point of making salah, for instance, is the performance of the salah, riyadha, let me just exercise. But it's not. The movements are there because of the internal. The words are there because of the internal. That's the reason why khushu and khudu are the issues in salah. They are internal issues. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the munafiqeen, what does he mention about their salah? That they come kusala. It is about the internal. That's the reason why when people come and say, you know, brother, it really bothers me in the Muslim community, you know, that we engage with business with one another and we have to deal with dishonesty and corruption and this and that and the other. And it bothers me that I can't trust another Muslim, or it bothers me that I can't trust that another Muslim is not going to the first selfish opportunity that arises, that they aren't going to like grasp that opportunity for the, like, to the detriment of their own akhirah and me too. It bothers me. How does this happen? And when does it hurt them the most? When they have like a qalansawa, topi, kufi, whatever you want to call it, and a big lihya, and they're dressing in sunnah, and then subhanallah, you encounter the akhlaq of less than an animal sometimes. And you're shaking your heads now because you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yes, me too, I've had those experiences. What's the issue? How do we solve this? And I love that comes after. One thing is I'm going to complain. Another thing is I need to understand what's going on here so that I can be a part of the solution. I don't want to just sit on the sidelines and complain. I want to be a part of the solution. How can I inject some positivity in this situation? But I need to understand what's going on. What is going on? It's real simple. Those individuals that you are encountering believe that their Islam is external. That's what happens. So the effort of tazkiyah, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِمَكَارِمِ الْأَخْلَاقِ. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, the whole reason why I've been sent is to ennoble your akhlaq. Who you are, how you are, not what you're doing. That is a direct manifestation, a direct result of the work that happens internally. Otherwise, that work is unaccepted by Allah. The salat is unaccepted. The sadaqah is unaccepted. The zakat is unaccepted. The hajj is unaccepted. If it is done for any external reason, if it is not done 100% internally for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is rejected. The action is there. The action of hajj was there. The action of giving was there. The action of even coming to the masjid and performing salah with the jama'ah is there. You may be doing the work, but Suratul Kahf, it's Yawm al-Jumu'ah. يَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ يُحْسِنُونَ صُنْعًا. They are thinking internally. They're so caught up in the external. They're so caught up in the ghafla that their thinking now is based on their own perception, not with their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but their relationship with creation. So now I'm doing good work in creation, and creation is happy with me. Creation has a positive opinion of me. Creation is giving me accolades. Creation is giving me status. Creation is telling me I'm doing a good job. Who cares if it's not accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You think non-Muslims are not out there doing amazing work as far as like helping creation? I would go so far as to say they do a better job at it than we do currently. What's their reward? What is their jaza, their compensation? What is their just due in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? For all this, I'm a good person, and I'm altruistic, and I give, and I engage in philanthropic endeavors, and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Oh, mashallah. What is the value of those a'mal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Zero. Nada. Zilch. Nothing. It is tawheed that gives it its value, because the value only comes from Allah. It is not inherent in the amal itself. It comes from the one who gave us the order for the amal, who told us to do it. He is the one who decides the weight of it, the value of it. Hence, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, al-Mizan, the scale. Who's reading the scale? Who made the scale? Who decides how the scale works, if not Allah? So when we're looking at the issues and the problems, I'll give you an example. Because of current global events, the Muslim community, for months now, has been dealing with issues that affect all of us as an ummah. It might be localized in a particular area or region of the world, but it impacts all of us, as it should. We're Muslims. If Muslims are going through difficulty, we should feel it. But now we have all of these efforts that go into addressing these issues. And you'll even go to these gatherings and they won't make salat. You'll go to these gatherings and they'll be promoting things that are haram actually in the gatherings. Openly haram. And criticize you if you actually say something like, how are we going to deal with this external situation with the non-Muslims if, like, just amongst ourselves, we can't even agree to follow the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we wonder why we have these situations. You look at the Sahaba, 15 years. For the ones who were there from the very beginning, 15 years at the hands of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sahaba were fully engaged in fulfilling the obligation of tazkiyah, which is fard. There is an aspect, there is a certain bar that is there as far as purification of the heart, reformation, self-reformation, that is obligatory. What part of it is obligatory? I have to fulfill the rights of everybody and anything. I have to only do what is halal, and I have to stay away from haram, and my akhlaq needs to be a reflection of the akhlaq of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Fulfill all my obligations. That is the bare minimum. It is because of this that you get طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم أو مسلمة أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. The seeking sacred knowledge is an obligation on every male and female Muslim. Why is it an obligation, and to what extent? Because we know not all of us have to become scholars. It is to this extent. You have to have enough knowledge that you can engage with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala internally and externally, accurately and correctly. Once you have done that, mashallah, you fulfilled the obligation of knowledge. Once you are putting it into practice, you have fulfilled the obligation, not just of the doing, but of the representation of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The proper and accurate representation of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Think about it. How can it be other than that? So our issues that we're facing, lack of knowledge, we feel comfortable with our Islam. I say that I'm a Muslim. I may make salah, etc., so on and so forth. But have we truly engaged with the actual Islam itself? And I'm talking about the actual taslim, the submission, the giving up my will for the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have we engaged in that part? Or am I just going through life doing what I want and I'm going to sprinkle it with these a'mal? Everything, I'm just going to do it my way. And that's even still today. This is why we have people 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. And they still have never learned how to make salat properly. How can that be? Because of exactly what we're talking about right now. When you encounter this akhlaq and you engage another Muslim and you have these negative encounters, how does that happen? Because the same way, the topi thing and everything, if you get it from an elder with white in their beard and they're a young person, these people are deeply scarred. I don't think like and because we're from a harder generation, and then those before me, like it was harder generations. These guys are very soft. These last couple, like they're very, very, very fragile. They're very soft. They're hypersensitive. They take everything personally. Everything is like a personal offense, and they'll soak on it. They'll sit there and think about it and mull over it, right? And go into a little pity party and everything else, right? This is what happens. So then, like, we have a chacha or me, you know, my uncle, he comes and he says something and he's, mashallah, he doesn't mean anything negative, right? But he does it the wrong way. Very straightforward, blunt force trauma. And now, like this, the receptivity is not there. So now two things have happened from this interaction. Number one, Chacha Ji has now broken the heart of a Muslim. And then on top of that, so now we have a crack in our unity that all of us will suffer from, all of us. And then on top of that, now this individual, this young person is going to think twice before they come back to the masjid because I don't want to have another encounter like this. They're sensitive. And then number three, they didn't even get the correction that they needed because the way that it was presented to them, the receptivity wasn't there. And the only thing that had to be done is like just stay focused on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, both parties. And instead of like thinking about your interaction with this creature, think about, yes, I'm interacting with Allah through this creature. Now you will understand when they say that when I pay my bills, I say, Inna Allaha huwa ar-razzaqu dhul quwwati al-mateen. Because even though I am physically paying the bills, I'm like going through and putting in the accounts and blah, 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 right? But I have to have it in my mind, in my heart, that it is only Allah who is doing this. Allah provided the resources. Allah gave me the health. Allah brought it in my hands. Allah has given me the ability to even sit here right now and go through this whole process. And then it is my Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that will continue to do it because he's done it in the past. My Allah feeds me. My Allah, it doesn't take away the hunger. Food doesn't take away the hunger. My Allah does. The water doesn't take away my thirst. My Allah does. Sleep doesn't take away my fatigue. My Allah does. And then that is practical aqeedah. That is living and experiencing Islam. Through that, you will come to know yourself. You will come to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you will learn to love him the way that he should be loved. And then we will see the unity because of our individual efforts. Then we will see the corrections being made. We'll see the issues being dealt with, right? It'll all be there for us, but you have to want it. The same way you want the money, the same way you want your jobs, and the same way you look at the clocks because you want out of here. You have to want it. And if there's no motivation, if you're not thinking about Jannah, and you're not thinking about Yawm al-Qiyamah, and you're not thinking about both the pleasure and the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then how are you going to want it when all of these tangible things are right here, calling to you constantly? The dunya does not stop giving da'wah towards itself. How are you going to deal with that? What's your rebuttal with your Islam? This is the question internally between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Each and every one of us have to ask and make sure that we get an accurate and correct answer, because our akhirah depends on it. And these interactions amongst each other, it depends on it. Each and every one of us having the proper understanding and making their own individual effort with sincerity for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah ta'ala make it easy for all of us. Allahumma gfir lana wa lil mu'minina wal mu'minati wal muslimina wal muslimat al ahya'i minhum wal amwat wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Again, stand up, please. Find the gaps, fill up the gaps. You will see a lot of spaces on your left and right. So if you see a space, you can move forward, brother. So you can take that space. There's space available in the front. There are a lot of brothers in the back standing. We have a lot of space in the basement as well. If you can't find a space here, go in the basement, please. Jazakumullah khairan. All right, couple of announcements, inshallah. First one is program tonight. Inshallah, significant of Muharram. It will be happening by Shaykh Umar Haqqani after Maghrib Salah. It's a family event. It gives you the idea why Muharram is so a significant month in Islam. So please join us after Maghrib Salah. Maghrib is 8:30. After that, inshallah, program will be around 35-40 minutes, and they will serve some refreshment after that. Then Masjid Huda will host iftar for 10th Muharram, which is a day of Ashura, inshallah. That's going to be on Tuesday. So Tuesday is the Muharram 10th. We're going to have, inshallah, iftar at the Masjid Huda. So join us as a family. Inshallah, that will do it. Inshallah, and also, as I said in previous announcement, that the building which we are purchasing, we need help and support. You will see soon a fundraising request. So please make sure you look for that request from us, inshallah. But the other announcement is for the donation. Again, I'm requesting everybody to please donate generously, because we need your help and support to pay our expenses. As you know that, as you see, gas prices to maintenance and everything, everything is tripled. So we need your help and support to keep the lights on, keep the maintenance on for the masjid and the property around the masjid. So Jazakumullah khairan for your support and help. Please keep donating, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله قال الله سبحانه وتعالى وإن تعدوا نعمة الله لا تحصوها إن الله لغفور رحيم وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إنما الأعمال بالنيات كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام أستغفر الله لي ولكم أجمعين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونشكره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد عبدك وحبيبك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آله وأزواجه وذرياته وصحبه أجمعين اللهم اغفر لنا وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات يا مثبت القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك يا مصرف القلوب صرف قلوبنا على طاعتك اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم اللهم لا عيش إلا عيش الآخرة اللهم إنا نسألك حسن الخاتمة اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك اللهم إنا نسألك من فضلك هذا الفضل العظيم عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء ومنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون وأقيموا الصلاة
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
استووا واعتدلوا. Please make sure that your rows are straight, there are no gaps in between you, and that your cell phones are turned off. Special requests, whether it's myself or any khatib, we'll see how long it takes before we can do it consistently, inshallah. Please leave a clear path row from the minbar all the way to the door. You have khatibs and people want to ask questions, they want to talk to them, etc., so on and so forth. Sometimes they have to leave, etc., and you get trapped up here because everybody starts the salat and you don't want to walk in front of them. So please, just from the right here where I'm standing at the front to the door, just leave one narrow space, and do that please for every khatib, every Jummah. Jazakumullah khairan jazak. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف مأكول. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الله استغفر الله استغفر الله استغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تبارك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. Please make dua for the shifa. بقي الأخطر وحيد كرم دلشاد أخطر شاهدة خاتون حسن بتال متين عباس فيزان أكرم كامران أكرم هدى نور سيد فيق علي سيد حمدان علي. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cure them and bring them ease in their difficulty. And then please for the maghfirah of Mirza Hussan Ali and all these deceased, including Zaybun Nisa as well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on them, forgive them, and enter them into Jannah بغير حساب يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم اغفر لنا وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم الأموات. اللهم لا عيش إلا عيش الآخرة. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من عذاب القبر. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من عذاب جهنم. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من فتنة المحيا والممات. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من فتنة المسيح الدجال. صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين. يا الله.